Hi everyone, welcome to the penultimate game in the Brilliancy series, and I hope you enjoy this game. It is Kasparov versus Karpov again, but with colours reversed, so Kasparov has white, and this is a brilliant game, and it involves the kitchen sink being thrown, which is always fun, and this is a very good penultimate game, and the final game, which I will put on tomorrow. You must watch it. It's the absolute one of the most best games I've ever seen. Anyway, this is really good as well. It was in the 1990 World Championship, which is the final World Championship between these two great players. It was game 20. Kasparov was white and opened with e4, and Karpov played e5, and we see a Ruy Lopez for the first time in this series, the Morph variation. And we're gonna have a closed Ruy Lopez, and the variation ends up being the Zaitsev, which is after h3. The most popular is Chigorin's, which is knight a5, bishop c2, and c5, d4, queen c7. This is the main line of the Ruy Lopez. Also popular is Bray's retreat, which is knight b8, aiming to put the knight on a more active post. However, if Karpov plays bishop b7, the risky Zaitsev variation, where black's going to try and hack white up on the queen side, and white's going to try and hack black up on the king side, we're in for a very sharp game, and this game certainly doesn't disappoint. Kasparov plays d4, rook e8, preparing to recycle the bishop to f8, knight bd2, bishop f8, a4, h6, now bishop c2. White needs to protect e4 before moving the knight to f1 to g3 to f5, which would be a very strong square, because otherwise the e4 pawn drops once black takes on d4 with the e pawn. And now he takes, which looks dubious because it gives up a strong pawn for a weak pawn and gives white a strong centre. But it's the best move, because then black can play knight b4, and after bishop b1, because white controls more space, he wants to keep pieces on the board, so black's got more stuff to work with in his cramp. Now he plays c5, hitting at the white centre. Also possible was b takes a4, rook takes a4, a5, rook a3, and rook a6. And then Kasparov might play knight h2 and f3, and then we've got a good position coming up, good game. Instead he plays c5, and white closes off the centre with d5, which hands black the e5 square, but also shuts in black's light square bishop for a long time, and both black's bishops are bad in this position now, but white's aren't brilliant either. He plays knight d7. He might be thinking of plans of c4, knight c5, and then plonking a knight in on d3, which is a very strong square, and as we've seen in the other game between these players where Kasparov was black, Karpov was hacked by a knight on d3, a black knight on d3. Now he plays rook a3, and now Karpov comes up with a very risky and not really that good move with f5. The safe option is c4, knight d4, and g6, which will produce a sharp dynamic game with chances for both sides. He plays f5 at risky move, and now it's like Kasparov plays a pawn sack with rook a3, and the pawn sack remains in the position for a few more moves yet before it is finally accepted, and when it is, black actually gets connected past pawns. If it is accepted in this position, because you might notice that black after f5 can now play f takes c4, knight takes e4, and knight takes d5. Now his king will be submitted to a scorching attack with rook f3 e2, knight 5 f6, takes, queen c2, knight f6, and knight h2. White's got strong compensation for the pawn here. He's got more open lines for his pieces, more active pieces. He's got a battery on the b1 to h7 diagonal and strong attacking chances. And I won't say that this is really better for white, because I think white's definitely got enough compensation, but maybe not enough for an advantage. But he'd rather be white in this position. It's easier to play anyway. So he plays knight f6, after knight h2, king h8, getting off the diagonal. And now b3, preparing to finish out the bishop on f2 and put some pressure on the dark long diagonal, which is very open. And now b takes a4, b takes a4, and c4, which is a blunder by Karpov. Is trying to throw in maybe some knight d3s, but they never quite work. If he takes now, I think taking now is best. And after knight takes e4, knight f takes d5. Black has got two connected central passed pawns, but white can get a strong attacking compensation with rook g3, knight f6, knight takes f6, rook takes e1, queen takes e1, queen takes f6, and bishop d2. And with strong attacking ideas like rook g6, knight g4, and bishop c3, white has got full compensation for the pawn, and his position is easier to play. But black's defensive opportunities are good here. Instead he plays c4, and now bishop b2, and now white's threats are looking very ominous. Knight takes c4 would be a positional blunder, because now f takes e4, and now white's isolated d pawn is going to drop off. And instead of a c pawn, black could be left with an e pawn instead, and this is better because it blunts white's light squared bishop, so white's attack won't be strong and black could just be a pawn up. So bishop b2. Now Karpov decides to get his two connected passed pawns. Seeing as his pieces are passive, he might as well at least get a pawn for his troubles. So it takes, and now rook g3. And now look at all this pressure at black's king. Over the course of the next 10 moves or so, you're just going to see the kitchen sink thrown at the black king with all these resources. Both rooks, both knights, both bishops, and the queen are pointed right at ominously at black's king. Black's knights are out of play, while the b4 knight is, and black's bishop is as well. And the kitchen sink is coming now anyway. This is what I'd call the theme of the game, the kitchen sink. The Sir Wan's book, he called it lightning and thunder, but I quite like calling it the kitchen sink. So he tries to defend with rook e6. Now knight g4. Queen d4 looks strong with a battery, but c3 will get some pieces off to black's advantage because black's up a pawn and has less space for his pieces. And also his king will be less likely to be hacked to shreds then. And now Karpov plays the decisive mistake with queen e8, which allows a great next move. The best chance was a line that Tony Miles gave, which was queen d7, and now the spectacular knight ef6, rook takes f6, bishop takes f6, knight takes f6, knight takes f6, g takes h6, and queen d4, attacking f6 and c4, bishop g7, queen takes c4, a5, stabilizing the knight, and now bishop f5, spectacular move, and now if queen takes, then queen f7, and now both black's bishops are on pre, so queen h7 takes, rook g8, now rook e7, and black's got two pieces for a rook, but black's completely tied down, but it's not easy for white to break through, so this is playable, but you won't want to be black in this position. I think that is probably the best line, the one Miles gave. Sir Wan gave another line in his book which he said was the best, which is knight d3, bishop takes d3, c takes d3, queen takes d3, and queen e7, where black's given the pawn back to get some minor pieces off, and has got better chances to defend here, and he isn't going to get scorched, but now white's won his pawn back, he's just got a strong positional advantage, but there's nothing clear cut here. But after queen e8, which also Karpov spent a lot of time on, and now he's hardly got any time left for the next 15 moves. And now here comes Kasparov plays a great move, and if you want to try and spot it, please stop the video now. And while you're thinking, I'm going to have a sip of Vimto. Okay. Knight takes h6. It's a piece sack which rips away all the pawn shield from black's king, and the kitchen sink is going to take a new force now. He plays c3, which is the best try, because at least he can win the b2 bishop. And after knight f5, c takes b2. Black's up a bishop now, but his king has been ripped apart, and it's just going to get scorched. Queen g4. Now there are some nasty plans. One idea is to play king h2, so that when white plays knight g5, the rook doesn't fall with check, and then white's knights and queen will just checkmate easily. Another plan as well is to try and knight takes g7. So he plays bishop c8, which is a clever move. If knight takes g7, then rook takes e4. And all of a sudden, white's rook is attacked twice and white's queen is attacked twice, and there's no checks. King h2 would win easily here. Now the e1 rook won't fall with checks, so knight g5 is coming, and now it's just going to be a checkmate with the two knights, queen and rook, and the bishop. I mean, look at black's pieces doing nothing on queen's side. There's too many forces here. It's like white's up a piece, not down one. But instead he plays queen h4 check, and now rook h6, giving the exchange back. If king g8, then knight h6 check. If king h8, then check. Knight eg5, and now black can actually take the rook with check, but there's no way to stop mate on h7 or h8. So he has to take, and after queen takes h6, queen f7. Now knight takes d6, and after bishop takes d6, white mates with rook e8 check, where the queen has to take, and then it's the queen's diverted off g7, so therefore it is mate. So rook h6, now knight takes h6, g takes h6, and now the silent but deadly move, king h2, which clinches victory. Now the rook isn't falling with check, so black is planning like knight f6 to rook g8 mate, and if the knight's taken, then queen takes f6 is going to mate. So therefore there is no defence here. Even Karpov, resourceful as he is, cannot save this. He tries queen e5, trying to stop the knight coming in, but now knight g5, taking advantage of the pin. And now just look at this now, like if queen takes e1, then knight f7 is mate. So queen f6, and now rook e8, and now just look at this now. Queen, knight and rook, bishop, and everything is just pointing right at black's king, which has got no cover. Black's knight is hopelessly out of play on b4, the queen side's like undeveloped still. The bishop's both on their original squares. This is just like a massacre, this. Now after bishop f5, now he could have forced mate with knight f7 check, queen takes h6, bishop h7 and rook takes a8, and now rook takes f8 and queen takes h7 cannot be stopped. But now this move is absolutely stunning. Queen takes h6 check, and in fact this allows black's pieces just all disappear off the board with this combination, because you have to take the queen, and now look at this combination. And look how many pieces black lost then. that temporary queen sack. I mean, what's white got now? 2 rooks and a pawn against the knight. I mean, black can win a piece back by queening his pawn, because then the knight will be on 3, but 2 rooks against 2 minor pieces is too much. In desperate time trouble, Karpov plays on a few moves, and maybe the b2 pawn or queen, and I think Kasparov's flag was hanging as well. So they just blitz out, bishop e7, rook b8, a5, check, gives away a piece, but after king takes f7, bishop takes d5 check, they've reached the time control, and now after counting up all the dead material, Karpov resigns. I mean, he's going to lose his last hope, because after knight takes d5, white takes the b2 pawn, and white's material advantage is just far too much. You'll have 2 rooks and 2 pawns against 2 minor pieces. And what a brilliant game by Kasparov. Got to be one of his best. Well, he's done so many fine games. This helped him win the World Championship, or retain it. And it's just a brilliant game. It's just like throwing a kitchen sink at Karpov, a very strong defensive player. And I hope you enjoyed it. Please look out for the final game in the series tomorrow. By the way, please subscribe to us on YouTube, like our Facebook page, join the Epic Chess Chat for a good little social chat, and follow us on Twitter. All the links will go in the description box. But for now, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please leave any comments and thoughts. Thanks very much.